Okay. I'm like checking your angles.
No, it's perfect. I love it. I should be more aware, honestly. I'm just like, hey, I'm here.
I never, recently I realized that I'm not as vain as I like should be.
Okay, that's a good realization.
It's something that I'm thinking a lot of because I don't try with my appearance really ever. I don't get ready, and then I'm like, if I'm sitting on camera for 6 hours, like I think it would be nice to like do something, you know?
Right.
So then I'm looking back at this footage, and I'm like, I could do better than that.
Yeah, I've definitely had moments like that. Like even, the first couple episodes of the podcast that I did, I was like, I want to be chill. Like, I'm not going to get ready. And then I was like watching the video back and I was like, probably should have like done one thing to get ready.
No, and I'm like, no, I'm cool and like chill and laid back. Like, it'll be fine. It's totally cool. I think also because I've been on YouTube forever that it's like, you just don't get ready. Like,
you have to stop doing that at some point when you're on YouTube because it's just exhausting if you're trying to get ready before filming everything.
There's no way. That's when everyone's like, oh, I love podcasting. It's like, I don't have to get ready. And I was like, oh, we're getting ready for our YouTube videos? Like, I didn't know that.
I didn't ever start getting ready.
Yeah, I'm like a little bit behind on that. Okay, we have two things in common that are really important. I listened to your recent podcast episode. By the way, incredible job. It's very hard to do a solo. And it was so good.
Thanks. I
loved
appreciate that. Thank you.
But you mentioned how you love Thursdays.
I do love Thursdays.
Thursdays, I think, are the best day of the week.
It's Thursday today.
I know. How fitting.
Oh, my God. They are the best days of the week.
They are the best days for, like, a couple of reasons. One, I'm making a new podcast episode of mine. Two.
Same.
Amazing.
Perfect.
But it's like you have so much to look forward to.
Yeah.
And you've accomplished so much at that point, even if you've done absolutely nothing. Like, you've got Monday through Wednesday out of the way.
You're like almost to the end. Yes. And I also feel like some nights, like if I were to go out on a Thursday night, for example, which doesn't happen very much anymore, but when it does, I always have the most fun because there's less pressure on it. It's just like, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you think that it's like Sunday, like you're hungover and it's Sunday, but then it's like, oh, it's only Friday.
Yep.
I had the whole weekend ahead of me.
I couldn't be more for a Thursday night going out. At this point in my life, like, I'm a little bit too lazy to do that. So it is rare.
Yeah.
But the best nights that you go out are always Thursdays. Those are always the best in college. It was always the most fun. Like, I love Thursdays.
Yeah. Where did you go to college?
So I went to like a really weird small school, but before that I was just doing Santa Monica Online, and I was dating someone at USC, so like I was there at that point.
Nice.
But it was really fun.
That is fun.
And I loved a Thursday.
They're the best.
And then you also love Taylor Swift.
I do.
How are you feeling after this week? For reference, whoever who's listening, she just gave her big reveal at the VMAs.
Yes. Okay, so I love Taylor Swift, okay? I really want to start.
No. Okay.
With that.
Okay.
It's not her. Okay. It's everyone else that stresses me out. Like, the theories make me so anxious because I'm like, how is one person thinking about all, like, there's just no way. Like, and maybe there is something about the way that everyone's like deciphering like what's coming next and what this means. It makes me so nervous, and I'm like, can we just like wait until October and like take a second, like, let's breathe, everyone. I'm excited just as much as you are,
but like, let's calm down.
But like, it's just like, I don't need to start worrying about like what she's saying all the time. Like, I just want to enjoy her as a person.
Oh yeah. And I agree with this, by the way. I'm not like the Easter egg Swiftie.
Yeah.
What I am is like, I sit back, I relax, and then I just listen to what they're saying.
Right.
But I really don't. And listen, it's clearly an art of like, not even what Taylor's doing, what the Swiftie people are doing.
Right.
But I don't know how anyone is that into something to where you make those connections. I mean, like, they need to be in like the FBI, honestly.
Right. Like, I love her. I really do. Yes. Like, truly love her so much. Can't imagine staying up all night, like, re-listening to like things that she said in interviews, reading all these things, making notes. Like, this one came up on my For You page today that was like, I stayed up all night and I made all these notes, and she had like 4 pages of front and back notes, and I was like, I don't, like, I need to focus on my actual life probably. Like, I can't, how, you know?
Yeah, you could also, like, barely get me to study for a test.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
I'm really bad at studying.
And that's what this is.
And, like, it's more fun, I feel like, to be like, oh my God, that's so crazy that she said that thing in 2020 and none of us realized, instead of being like, no, I already knew. No, I actually already knew she was going to say that. It's like, okay.
Sorry.
Well, you're smarter than me. I don't know. Like, it's cool, I guess. So I feel like I'm a chill Swiftie.
I would classify myself as that as well.
Yes, but I'm very excited about
very.
Midnights. But I'm just like...
You know what I was thinking, too, the other day? Because I actually couldn't agree with you more. The audio right now, that's the Midnights, and all the songs. I'm like, I would never in a million years have the patience to make that TikTok audio.
Oh my God, never.
And that's not even the most committed. You know what I'm also curious about? I wonder who the first person was that realized and started the whole, like, Easter eggs in all of her songs and interviews.
I was literally thinking about this morning when I was watching this TikTok. I think it's because that just used to be like, remember back in the day when we had like actual CDs and in the album cover there was like letters that were capitalized. That was like so fun, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's where it started, like hinting at things. But then it just like, we all figured out that that's what she was doing. Then she had to bring it to another level. Like, it just is all like a mind fuck. And it's like, I want her to relax. I want us to all relax. Like, Swifties sometimes have a bad name for themselves, okay? And, like, we're not making it any better by staying up all night and writing down things that she's said for the past 10 years, okay? Yeah. We have to be a little bit more chill, everyone.
It is a lot. Do you think that because this stuff is years out.
Right.
Do you think she just has the next, like, 20 years of her career figured out and they work backwards?
See, I don't know. And that also stresses me out because I don't know how someone's brain could work that way.
Yeah, I don't even really want to think about it. It gives me a headache.
Right. It makes me nervous. But, like, I mean, she's a genius. Clearly. The people who are figuring this shit out are geniuses. Like, I respect it. I just I can't jump in and start deciphering things myself.
It really does need to be like a skill you can put on a resume.
It should be. It truly should be.
Crazy. I just started a clothing brand and my business partner was like a crazy One Direction fan.
Okay.
And the stuff that they could find out and the skills that she has now to like figure certain things out and like find certain connections and whatever we need.
Right.
It legitimately comes from her like crazy One Direction fangirl days.
And it's like, you know, I think about it and I'm like, okay, I've done some crazy stuff online. Like, I've found people that I should have never found, you know? But that's like for personal gain. Like, what's going to happen if you find One Direction at their hotel? Like, what are they going to do? Nothing. You're going to they're going to be scared.
When you say you found people online, like, do you mean like their Zillow listings? Like, what are we talking?
I just mean like, if someone posted someone, just their finger, for example. Like, I would go, I'd be like, oh, I think it's this person. Go on her page, go down to this day, see what kind of nail polish she's wearing, try to like make sure that it is that person. And then I'm usually right. I had to stop doing that. I had to stop doing that so that I could sleep at night.
Yes.
Because it wasn't really helping anything.
Was this in like dating kind of things? Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
So it really wasn't helping you.
Oh my God. Like, probably the most self-destructive thing I could have done. Because I find out, and then I know, and then I just sit there and I know.
Yeah. And you would have been better off not knowing.
Yes and no, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I do think there are situations, but it's messed me up a little bit because I've found these things out and I'm like, okay, so now I always have to trust my gut. And then the thing of like knowing if it's a gut feeling or if it's like an anxiety feeling, that's because I've done things like that. Now that is all messed up inside of me.
I have talked about this so many times. How do you know if it is a gut feeling versus anxiety? Because they feel the
Very
same.
similar.
And then I asked like an expert on this, and they said something along the lines of, if you're acting off fear or out of fear, it's probably anxiety based.
Right.
But there are still things that it's a gut feeling that are scary to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I know. It's like, I don't know. I don't have like I have not figured it out really, but I've been able to like talk myself down more and more. And like, I do know it's like, they're not gut feelings when I'm making these situations up in my head and then starting to believe them.
When you're spiraling and that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not a gut feeling. You just made that up and now you believe that it's true because you made it up. But like, it's not this thing that you know deep down is true. You just are telling yourself that you should think it's true to protect yourself. I don't know.
That's true.
It's hard. It's hard. I struggle with it all the time.
It's horrible. I dated this guy and I was so anxious the entire relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no, I'm just anxious because this is like, and for some reason I'm on like dating anxiety TikTok at this point. I'm like, no, I'm just anxious because it's like a dating thing and I'm like fearful now and like things have gone south in the past or whatever.
Right.
And now looking back, I was like, no, I was anxious because like I should have never in a million years been in this relationship.
Right.
But I convinced myself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I like have done very, very similar things. And then it's like, okay, well, I was right that one time, so now I'm probably right these other times. And it's like, no, that was a one-off where you were just dating the wrong person.
Yeah.
And they were shitty. It doesn't apply to everyone.
Yeah, that's actually good advice.
So I have to remind myself of that pretty frequently.
Yeah. Speaking of like pop culture and stuff, what was your first like pop culture obsession, if you will?
That is a tough. This is like niche, I feel like. But when I was a kid, I don't know. How old are you?
25.
Okay, I don't know if you'll remember this. And also, like, I don't want to like say I was into underground artists when I was 7, but like maybe it kind of was. No, I don't think I was at all. But do you remember the girl group Play?
No.
Yeah, they sang the song "Us Against the World."
I'm looking it up on Spotify.
It's us against the world. Do you remember that song?
I know that. Oh, continue. I'm just looking them up. I just almost
so
played it.
I like saw them on like a commercial.
Oh my god, yeah, no, I totally do.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, I don't know. They never got like big enough. Like they're all just living very normal lives now, and I know that because I just looked them up on Instagram like last week. But like that was like the one and only thing that I was ever like genuinely obsessed with. Like if I was older, I probably would have been doing the like fucking One Direction shit, you know, and I was doing it to the capacity that I could at that time. There was no like Twitter. I was probably like 9, but I would print out all of their pictures, all of their lyrics. Like I went to see them in concert when they opened up for the A-Teens. Like I was like obsessed with them, obsessed. I knew every single fact about them. I would watch videos of them and practice their dance moves. And then I like never, after they like broke up, kind of just like moved on and never got like obsessed with anything else. But I mean, I love Taylor Swift, but I'm not like doing the Easter egg thing. Like I don't know.
I wouldn't say I was ever like and I don't mean this in, like fangirl status to where those two are so powerful and they know everything.
Right.
I was never at that level. I wasn't like a Directioner really either.
I missed the mark on that one.
Yeah, that was not my thing, but I always loved Taylor Swift. When I was younger, all my cousins around me were older. And we were, and I'm talking, I was like 5 or 6 at this point, when it was Nick Lachey and Jessica Simpson.
Okay.
Newlyweds Obsessed, or whatever the show was.
That was a wonderful show.
I went back and watched it in 2020.
Okay.
And that was like probably the only good thing about that year.
Was it good still? Like, I mean, good, bad?
Yeah, it was good, bad. Like, it's not, honestly.
Like, you're not going to be like, the show's amazing.
Yeah, like, it doesn't need to, like, win an award or anything. Right. Like, it was really good. Okay. And then I loved JoJo. Obsessed with her growing up.
Like Get Out, Leave.
Oh my god. I think I am 25 now and I probably listen to that song once a week.
Yeah, I mean, as you should.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Right.
And then I loved Britney Spears.
I did love Britney Spears as well. I vividly remember getting her albums and sitting and opening them and looking at all the pictures and stuff. And yeah, I mean, like I liked a lot of those things too. I think I was just like chill about it. I don't know, but I also like the Backstreet Boys, and I loved NSYNC and
yeah, me too.
all of that. I was very into.
I think that was a normal at the time, though. Like, that was the extent in which you were...
You couldn't do too much.
Yeah, you weren't, like, you didn't have, like, a direct line of contact to them with social media.
Right, which, honestly, for the best.
It really was for the best.
Saved myself some serious embarrassment by, like, I used to be so pissed that my parents didn't get me a phone until I was in 8th grade. And now I'm like, thank you guys for my razor in 8th grade.
I had a hot pink razor, and I mean, you couldn't tell me that I wasn't the shit. Like, I really was like, this is the coolest thing
that's
ever.
really cool. I always wanted a hot pink one, but, like, you remember how it was, like, Sprint had certain ones, Verizon had certain ones? So I had Sprint. So the only colored razor I could get was the red one, which I actually...
No, I like that.
I really like now. Like, it was kind of like...
cooler.
It was cool. Like, it was a cool move for me to make when I was in 8th grade.
No, I really like that.
Thank you.
How do you feel now as, like, a podcaster? Like, has your life changed drastically? Is the paparazzi following you?
Yeah, I can't really leave the house anymore.
Yeah, I get that.
No.
It's hard being famous.
It's so hard. Ugh. No, it's been great. I mean, this is, like, the second week, so it's like I'm still getting into the swing of things, but I love it. Like, I've literally wanted to do it since I started making videos, just because I like the, like, long form. I like talking, and it's so much easier for people to get to know you this way instead of, like, YouTube videos. I feel like a lot of times
more intimate.
Yeah, and, like, you're just chatting, whereas YouTube videos, you're editing them, and you're editing everything down to, like, 13, 14 minutes, and then it's like, okay, they know what I did today, but, like, they don't know something that happened to me 10 years ago. Like, you don't really, like, know each other on, like, a deeper level, and I feel this is, like, a way to, like, get out there in a different way, I guess. I don't know.
You also have a really unique concept. Like, it's cute, and it's like comforting almost.
Thanks.
Like, it feels like safe almost.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the goal. I don't want people to think that it's like a children's podcast at all, because I feel like that gets, like, misconstrued. Vibe. Even when I say I'm, like, a preschool teacher, like, I'll get comments that are like, you're too pure for this world and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm literally not. Like, just because I teach preschool doesn't mean I'm too pure for the world. Like, it's like, but so I didn't want it to be like, I didn't want anyone to think it was like a children's podcast, but, like, I like that it feels safe, like a safe environment, but, like, we're talking about, like, adult things.
No, I love it.
Thanks.
When I asked what everyone wanted to hear from you, it's all wedding related.
Okay.
So if you're, like, so tired of talking about this or thinking about this,
I'm in a good spot to talk about it right now. Okay. Like, if you would have talked to me, like, 2 weeks ago, I would be like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But it's,
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited. It doesn't feel real. Feels way too adult. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm planning a wedding? Okay. Okay, Mom. Like, what the hell? I don't know. It's, like, it's crazy. It's crazy that I'm at that, like, time in my life. Like, I feel like I've been, like, reflecting a lot more than I ever have, because I'm like, oh, your life is about to, like, change. And not, like, really, like, it's not going to be that different, but it's just, like, you're entering, like, that second part where you, like, start to think about kids, and, like, I always thought about, like, life as, like, two different things. Like, you have this whole life, and then you get married, and then, like, the next part starts where, like, your whole life is then your family and your kids, and, like, I just have always thought like that. And, like, work and stuff too, obviously, but, like, you get to focus so much on work and everything when you're in this part.
Yeah.
In the younger part, and then all of a sudden it's like now you have other things to start thinking about. You're getting older, and, like, when women get older, their bodies change, and you have to think about how old you are and when you want to start having kids, and how old your parents are, and how you want them to be involved in your kids' lives. And, like, I'm just thinking about so many things that I was never thinking about before. And it's all really exciting, but it's just, like, crazy because I feel like I'm 14. Okay, that's not true. I feel like I'm, like, 23.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like you're becoming, like, more wise almost, you know?
Yeah, and, like, that you, like, can be now. Because sometimes I, like, would feel like I was too young to, like, be wise about a certain situation, even though that's not true. Like, I think, like, if you've lived something, then you know more about it. But like, you know, sometimes you're like, oh, I'm only 24. Like, who would take advice from me? Or like, you know what I mean? And
definitely.
so now all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I've been alive for almost 30 years. Ew. Oh my God. Okay, that was gross. But true.
No, but you,
nonetheless.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it is what it is. And it's like a really exciting phase of life to be in.
What is the worst part of planning?
I think just like, there's just so much that goes into it. Luckily, we have a planner, which is like life-saving. But there's so many things you don't think about. And also like making the guest list and like how many people you want there and all of that. I don't know. It's just, there's just so much to think about that I just didn't even know you had to think about.
Yeah, because it does, like, I can only imagine it causes drama when, like, people aren't invited and then people are mad, but they expect invites when they're not really that close.
I feel like so far we haven't had to deal with any of that, which is great. But it's like, it's just like, it's just kind of like you have to invite this entire group of people or none of them. So it's up to you. Like, it just gets a little tricky. But then, like, when I think about it, I'm like, okay, well, if none of them are invited, then they're not gonna be upset.
Yeah,
you know
that's true.
I mean? But you just have to do what feels like. That's what I'm learning is, like, it's your day. Like, fuck it. If you want someone there and someone else is gonna be upset about it, it doesn't matter. Like, there's a reason why you don't want that person there. So you don't have to have them there.
It's kind of nice, too, because it's kind of like,
yeah,
you know, bye.
Sorry.
See you later.
Yeah.
Like, actually for after the wedding, not just, like, for that day.
Right.
Were you someone who, like, grew up thinking about your wedding, or was it?
Not really. I always knew where I wanted to get married, but that was pretty much it. Like, I never thought about, like, an engagement. I never thought about my dress. I never thought about really anything except where. And that's where we're getting married. And I'm not going to say where it is while we're recording, but I'll tell you later.
Yeah. Did you, like, when you were first with Cody, were you like, this is who I'm going to end up with?
Yeah.
From a very early, like, at what point?
Like right away.
Wow. See, this is, like, I can't even imagine dating someone at this point. I'm so emotionally, like, I'm just not even emotionally. I just, like, I just haven't met someone that I'm even remotely interested in.
I think that's fine.
Recently, I guess, but
okay.
Like, I just can't even, that's what I'm like, I just feel like it's going to be so crazy from, like, being in this point, and, like, also knowing me, I can meet someone in, like, 2 months and be like, oh my God, I'm in love, like, you never know.
Yeah.
I just can't even, I can't even picture, like, getting to that point. So you just, like, met him and you're like, yep, this is it.
I think, like, I always, like, with everyone that I've dated, like, I've always tried to see if I could imagine some sort of, like, future with them. And, like, you always kind of are like, yeah, I guess, like, sure, it'd be fine. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, like, with him, I met him and it was just like, oh, like, everything just felt like at ease inside of me. Like, in my brain, I wasn't overthinking anything. Like, I was just being who I am. And I, like, felt so, like, at home and safe and, like, where I was supposed to be every time that I was with him.
Wow, it's so beautiful.
Thanks. It's really cheesy, but it's, I don't know how else to describe it, but, like, there was just, like, no question that I was with the right person.
Yeah.
And I feel like with everyone else, I was always like, I don't know, like, sure, they're fine. Like, I like them. I mean, I obviously have been in other relationships with people that I've loved and whatnot, but, like, just didn't feel 100% right. There was always something that you were questioning. And then when I met Cody, it was just like, this is how I'm supposed to feel. I was always really worried. Like, there was always, like, a deep fear that I was going to get married and there was going to be someone else out there that I felt like was better for me. Like, I was always worried that, like, I was like, well, I've never been to Italy. Like, what if my soulmate's in Italy and now I'm just stuck here married to this guy? Like, I was always so fucking worried that there was going to be someone else out there for me. And then when I met Cody, I was like, oh, no, there's not. Like, this is right.
Wow.
I was like, just stopped worrying about that completely.
It also seems from like the outside looking in that you guys were like made for each other. Like there are certain couples that I feel like just fit together very well, and it's so like I always think like my friends like Julia and Hunter, like they are like the perfect match for each other, and it feels like one of those relationships where it's like you guys complement each other, but you're just so like it's so obvious, you know? Whereas with other couples sometimes I'm like, I mean, I don't know about that one.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Well, thank you.
It's a beautiful thing.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
What are some like mistakes a lot of people who listen to this podcast like talking about like navigating or hearing about navigating? I'm like, they're not talking. I'm talking. Sorry guys. I'm hearing about navigating life in your 20s.
Yeah.
What are some mistakes in like your earlier 20s that you made in dating, or some things that you would just like maybe not do again, you know? Even if you were single.
Oh God. That is a tough question. I think I would just like listen. Like if I think that someone's not doing something that I like, if I know that I don't like what they're doing, like how they're talking to me, how they're treating me, I genuinely don't think it's okay. Like say that. Like speak up for yourself, stick up for yourself, and like move on. They'll be fine. You are what's more important. I was always really worried about hurting other people, that I didn't always like do what I knew I should do in situations, like protect myself. I feel like I always was like, I have myself, I'll be fine. But what about him? Yeah. He doesn't have anyone else. Like I was always like, no, I have myself. He can say this, but I know it's not true. But like he would like be really upset if I left. And it's like, well, that's actually not the case. Yeah. Like, sure, no matter how good of a sense of self you have, like use that, respect yourself, and leave a certain situation if someone's not treating you. If they're nice to you sometimes, but then they say really mean things, that's still not okay.
Yeah.
You know? I would just say like keep the self-respect. And I don't know. It's hard because it's like I never really feel like I completely lost that side of me, but I just like put it aside to make sure that everyone else around me was okay.
Yeah, like you made yourself smaller to be able to...
Yeah, because I was always like, it's okay, I have myself. I know I have myself. I'll be fine. I always am like, I know I'll be fine, so it's okay. But it's like, just put, like, you're the same size as everyone else. You don't need to make yourself smaller, and you're bigger. Like, you're all you ever have. So, like, you should be like, what would you tell your friend if they were in this situation? You'd tell them to get out. So listen to that.
I think a lot of the time, too, we want to stay, even if it's like, I'm actually truly fine being on my own, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Right.
I think sometimes we'll stay because the thought of, like, having to date again or meet someone else or go back into that pool, or we all have this fear of, like, oh, well, I'll never meet someone that will match. And, like, for whatever reason, that time in between you ending things with them and then eventually meeting someone is, like, so terrifying because there's so much uncertainty.
Yeah.
So I think people just will stay in things longer. Right. Like, I've done this because, honestly, out of, like, laziness.
Yeah.
You know? I'm like, I just don't want to, like, do it again. Yeah. It's too much work.
Yeah, no, I know. I feel like I acted mostly on, like, just not wanting to hurt someone else. Mm-hmm. And, like, just being selfish in moments. Like, I didn't ever want to do that. Like, I just remember one time, like, being like, God, I wish he would just, like, cheat on me so that I could break up with him. And he would, like, he'd be like, oh, oops. And I do think he did cheat on me anyway, but I just found that out later. But, like, I did still have to break up with him. Joke's on me! Yeah. Joke's on me. I had to be the bad guy and get cheated on. But it's like, I remember saying that out loud, and I was like, okay, so you should probably just break up with him because you clearly don't want to be with him, and he will be fucking fine. Yeah. You're what's most important in a situation like that. If you're not happy, you're not happy, and that's okay. It's gonna suck at first, but, like, it will be fine. It really will.
I dated this guy a while ago, and this was, like, years and years ago, and I think I liked him for maybe the first like 2 weeks of the relationship, and we ended up dating for like 7 or 8 months. Like that's like a substantial time for someone that you don't like.
Totally.
I broke up with this guy probably like 7 times. It was to the point where I wasn't even like telling my friends that we had broken up.
Okay.
Because that is how far removed he really was from my life.
Right.
But he like kept coming back, and it was easier. And I had just moved to LA, and I made like all of my friends were his friends, and it was just messy, and it was easier for me to stay.
Right.
But I just like I never went through like any sort of heartbreak or anything like that. I never cried. I was just like, I want nothing to do with this. But it was easier for me to stay because she just like wouldn't leave me alone, I think, and I was like, whatever.
Right.
But eventually I finally was like, okay, this is getting out of control. I don't know at what point I was like, you know what, I think this might be out of control. Like, what is it, month 7 or like, you know?
Right.
But I wrote myself a letter. I was like, you are not getting back together, and this is so ridiculous, and this is why. And like, being with the wrong person is so much lonelier than being alone too.
Totally.
And I actually had to like write myself a letter, and I think I finally like blocked him on something, but I was like, listen, it's not because like I hate you or I'm mad or whatever.
Right.
I just like, this is it. And it was like really unhealthy. Like we shouldn't be doing this.
Exactly.
And he didn't like me either. That's the craziest part about it. It's
totally.
Like, why are you begging for me back?
I'm like,
all the
I
time?
don't want to break his heart. And then it's like, he doesn't like you, babe.
Literally. I like tell this story and I sound heartless, and then I'm like, oh, but by the way, he also didn't like me, just so you guys are clear. I have no idea why he kept coming back.
Right. We hated each other, so
literally,
we're all clear.
I don't think we had a single thing in common, but I just like wasted so much time.
Yeah.
But also out of fear of like, when you're saying like, oh, I didn't want to like hurt him or leave him alone or whatever, like you kind of are hurting them worse long term by staying with them.
I totally agree with that. I completely agree that like it hurts both people to stay in a situation that you're not happy in. I don't think he was just shitty.
It was not the vibe.
Not the vibe.
What's your best like breakup advice or heartbreak, devastating heartbreak? Someone's crying.
Okay, so I would say I take breakups, or I took breakups pretty like easily because I truly think it's because I for a period of time was only dating people that I didn't really like that much, or like it got to the point in the relationship where it's been like a couple years and we're completely different people and we know that we're gonna break up, and so we just like kind of ride it out until we just break up. So by the end, like by the actual breakup, I'm not upset. Maybe I'm upset before, whatever. I would say when I was early 20s, I like ended things with this guy who I just thought was like the best. And then I think about it now and I'm like, what did we ever talk about?
Yep.
What did we speak about? Like, why was I like, oh my God, he's the most perfect person in the whole world. Like, what the fuck did we even talk about? It's fine. But I was like, we did like really actually like each other. Like, I will never say anything bad about him because I just think that like we just weren't supposed to be together, but we like genuinely we liked each other, you know? But we ended things. He was never like an actual boyfriend, mind you. It was one of those almost ones.
Situationships,
yes,
if you will.
The best. And we ended things not because I wanted to, and I was a fucking disaster, like pathetic. Like I think about it now and I'm like, oh my God, you idiot. But because it's like, you knew this was gonna happen. Yep. He wouldn't ask you to be his girlfriend after like 6 months and you're crying because he didn't want to date you.
Yeah.
Like, it's so stupid. But I remember sitting thinking, I was like just writing on my computer, and I was like, I know that this was supposed to work out, so why didn't it? If this was supposed to work out, why didn't it? And like, that was what I couldn't wrap my head around. That was the hardest part of the breakup, was that like, why didn't this just work? It was supposed to work. It should have worked. Why didn't it? And it took 2 years and dating other people and doing other stupid stuff and whatnot, and then like you learn so much about yourself, and then you meet someone else and all of a sudden it's like, that's why it didn't work. Like, you will find the reason why it didn't work. It might take a month, it might take 4 years, but like you will look back and you'll be like, if I stayed with him, I would have never grown in these ways with myself. I would have never met this person. Like, it all like just came full circle, like literally when I met Cody, because like I just had to experience so many interesting things through those like 2 years, and then like I started dating Cody and I didn't even really think about it, and then I was like, damn, that's why it never worked. Like this, like it, you will learn why it didn't work out, and it really will be okay. Like it truly will.
I always say, like, and I truly mean this, and I believe this, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. My big breakup in the recent years was the best thing that ever happened to me, and at the moment it was like so terrifying and like horrible, and just like it was also one of those things where I think I think again it was like I just didn't want the change. I didn't really care about the person at that, but I did care about the person, but I was more afraid of the change in my life it would bring than I was about like losing that person.
Right.
But the breakup ended up being the best thing that ever happened to me. My life, if I was still in that relationship, I would be, and not really, it's not about like the guy.
Totally.
It's about who I've become in like my life now.
Exactly. That's
so much better.
Exactly.
Like so much better.
Right. Like you would have just stayed stagnant, or you would have never tried these things that you had to put yourself out there for, because like I just think you grow so much that like your relationship with yourself starts to bloom in ways that you didn't even know it could, and I just feel like that's really, really important.
Why do you think you were dating people that you didn't really like?
Because I didn't want to get hurt.
Yeah, like a defense mechanism?
Yeah, like it was just like, okay, well, if he breaks up with me, like I won't really care.
And then you really didn't. And
then I was fine. I mean, and the thing is, like, I wouldn't have stayed in situations like the guys that I'm referencing, like, they were good guys. It was good. Like, it was totally fine. But, like, I knew in the back of my mind that it wasn't, like, forever. And so, like, I knew I wasn't going to be hurt when it ended, because I just knew that it wasn't forever. And it was, like, a great time. We had a great time. But it was, like, I wasn't like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like leaving it how it is.
It was I knew it wasn't going to be forever, and so it was okay that it was like sometimes hard before the actual breakup happened, but then when the breakup happened, it was like, yeah, duh.
I relate to what you said about how, I'm like, why did I say I relate? Like, I feel what you said about how a lot of the time when the breakup actually happens, you've already basically grieved like, the relationship and gotten over it.
Yes.
Because I have this issue where I know I need to leave something.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I don't know. Like, I've, like, really gone, like, deep and tried to figure it out. I don't know if it's, like, I'm a child of divorce and I'm trying to make something work because my parents did it. Like, I've, like, gotten that deep. Because I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this? I shouldn't be with them. I don't want to be with them. But for whatever reason, I won't break up with them. Maybe I don't want to hurt them. Maybe it's, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
But more often than not, I'm completely over the breakup by the time that it happens. Yeah. And I'm just like, all right, like, sure.
I feel like I have done that too, and like not necessarily in the situation that I was with the like if you're someone's not treating you the way you should be, get out, but like in like other relationships, I feel like a lot of times it was like they're not doing anything wrong, you're getting along, you know it's not gonna last, but like you might as well exhaust all options. Like I don't want to look back and be like, well, what if I just tried that one more time? Would things have been different? And then it's like, okay, once you get to the point where you're like, I know for sure. Like, I feel like I always was trying to, like, just make sure before I did it. Like, I was being a little cautious.
Yeah, like you didn't want to make the wrong choice.
Right, but in the back of my mind, it wasn't, I knew it was never going to be the wrong choice, but it was like, I never wanted someone to feel blindsided.
Yeah, or the what ifs, too.
Right, like, I would start bringing up these conversations, doing a little planting the seed. Is this really working? I don't know. A lot of those. And then I was like, well, I said last week, I don't know if it's working. And then it just continues to snowball and snowball and snowball. You've been having the same conversation for 3 months. And then it's like, I think it's just time.
What do you think the best way to break up with someone is?
Over the phone.
So you can just like, in the call, done. Like, no. Phone call, FaceTime, or text?
No, phone call.
No, I have to be honest. I'm a phone call girl. Like, I really have to be honest.
I don't really believe in like that. Like, you owe me a face-to-face breakup. Like, if a guy called me and broke up with me on the phone, I'd be like, that's probably for the best. Like, I didn't have to drive anywhere. You're not in my house. I'm not in your house. I don't hate it. But
What's
I
so bad
do
about a
think,
phone call?
I agree. I completely agree. I do think it depends, like, if you, I don't know. I think it's all situational, but I will say, like, I don't mind a breakup phone call.
I think if your relationship has lasted a certain amount of time, and maybe that time changes for everyone, but it's at maybe a certain step, then you owe in person. I do think there's a time where it gets to that.
I agree. And, like, maybe I think I've also done the move of, like, breaking up on the phone, meeting up with them after to have, like, one last conversation. But I don't know that I've ever sat down with someone, maybe my first boyfriend ever, but that was, like, a very mutual thing. Like, we knew that was going to happen. We broke up in the car outside of Starbucks.
Oh, classic. I've had a breakup in the car outside of Starbucks as well.
It's just, like, it's like a mutual place. We're like, you won't.
No, exactly.
I, like, still think about it when I drive by.
Like, fuck you. Yeah, literally.
But, like, I mean, other than that, like, I feel like having a conversation after in person is so much easier than the initial thing, because there's a lot of, like, they're upset, they're mad, you're upset because you just had to hurt someone. Like, it gets tricky. And so maybe, like, talking on the phone and then having, like, a conversation after you've cooled down a little bit, you can each think about what you want to say. I think that's kind of the move.
I actually think it's healthier. I'm going to be honest. Like,
it probably is.
I also, like, logistics aside, that's so awkward. You break up and then, like, what, you're somewhere, or maybe you're not at someone's house and you have to, like, wait for the check, and then you have to go to your car and then you have to that is so awkward. Like, none of us need to be doing that.
No one needs to do that. But who's paying?
Oh my god. No. I, like, never. I've never in a million years want to deal with that. I couldn't, I literally couldn't do it. But I will say, the guy that I was talking about earlier that I dated that I never really liked, and he never liked me, thank you very much. I'm not a monster.
Right.
But I finally had to break up with him over the phone. And I feel like I did that most of the time, if I'm being honest. But, like, there were breakups in person as well.
Yeah.
But I finally was like, he will not let me break up with him.
Yeah.
And I can't get out what I want. And I actually, like, for my own good and sanity, have to literally, that's what I have to do.
Yeah.
I don't think a phone call is so bad. Like,
I don't think so either. And you can always do the after conversation in person.
And
I've done that with everyone.
I would rather be broken up with on a phone call than in person. That's so awkward. Like, no.
Me too.
If anyone's ever listening to this and wants to break up with me, like, just give me a call, you know?
Just call her.
ring,
Totally
please.
fine. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Oh my God, it's been so fun.
Loved catching up and talking about Taylor Swift and boys. Where can they find you, and tell us a little bit about your show?
You can find me on Instagram. I am so awkward when it comes to self-promotion. It is like my worst. I'm so bad at it.
Kelsey Kreppel on.
My name is Kelsey Kreppel. No, it's at Kelsey Kreppel on Instagram, and then just my name on YouTube, and then my podcast Circle Time. You can find it wherever you listen to podcasts.
Go listen.
Go listen. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thanks for coming on. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know by giving it a nice thumbs up and subscribe for more.